Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max, I'm the host of this channel, and a big thank you to all my subscribers who are returning. Please hit the notification bell and like this video after you subscribe if you enjoy this content, and a big thank you to my patrons. Righto guys, this is going to be such an exciting video. Once again, we are tackling the debate of Beauden Barrett versus Richie Mo'unga for the All Blacks first 5 jersey, the number 10. Boy, my opinion on this, so controversial. A lot of people can get quite annoyed whenever I say Richie Mo'unga is the best 10 in the world. But guys, he well and truly is the best 10 in the world. Some people will argue, insult me in the comments, say you don't know nothing about the game, Roman Max better, Marcus Smith is better. But the thing is, what I don't think a lot of people here in New Zealand appreciate is the fact that Mo'unga has such good game management, whereas throughout Beauden Barrett's career, which I've watched a lot of, he's mostly just sat in the pocket and behaved as an extra fullback, hence why I made a video explaining in detail why I prefer him in the 15 jersey to the 10 jersey. I've also previously done a player analysis video on Mo'unga and gone through his 2021 season stats as I selected him in the World 15. I also did quite a brutal end of year review for the All Blacks at the end of 2021, going through the coaching tactics, then I reviewed each position, and I really knuckled down into the 10, but we're going to have to go into the 10s once again to decide who should be starting for the All Blacks in 2022. So I'll pull up the stats from the international season of 2021 to talk about it in this video, and in the second part we're going to talk about Super Rugby form, how that could impact everything. So guys, in my World 15 video, Mo'unga displayed some amazing stats, and in 2021 Beauden Barrett played 13 games, Richie Mo'unga played 10, but Mo'unga did get a bit more game time against the Tier 2 nations, so I think that it's quite safe to say the stats even out quite a fair bit. Beauden played 573 minutes of Test rugby in 2021 and Mo'unga played 537, so the 3s and 7s are inverted there. Beauden's only played about 40 more minutes, so I think that, yeah, probably even, it's enough for us to judge on. We don't have to do averages or anything. So first off, we'll compare the points. We'll get this one out of the way. Everybody knows Mo'unga is a better goal kicker. It's just a fact at this point. People have stopped debating it, and it's pretty much over for there. Mo'unga got 95 points for the All Blacks in 2021, whereas Beauden Barrett got 54 points. Both of them took quite a few shots at goal, but Beauden Barrett ended up becoming the main goal kicker, so I don't think we have to worry about the kicking percentage, as Beauden Barrett is likely to remain in this role for the time being from now on. Both of these players got 3 tries, but Mo'unga did run a few more meters with 408 compared to Beauden Barrett's 344. Mo'unga also beat 26 defenders compared to Beauden's just 13, so Mo'unga literally doubled Barrett for defenders beaten. They also made 6 clean breaks each, so they're tied again for that particular statistic. We're going over to carries. Mo'unga made 42 compared to Barrett's 33. Mo'unga also beat Barrett for passes with 175. Barrett made 157 passes. Mo'unga made 8 offloads, so did Beauden Barrett. So once again, we are at a stalemate for the offloads. We now come to the tackle percentage. This has often been a real conscientious place where people have quite easily criticised Mo'unga. A lot of the people who think they know everything and like to be a couch coach try to suggest that Mo'unga is one of the worst tackling first 5 of all time. It just isn't true. In 2021, Mo'unga made 33 of his 39 tackle attempts, making for a percentage of 85%. Mo'unga has outperformed Barrett in every single test season since his debut, apart from 2020 for tackle percentage. Beauden Barrett in 2021 was 40 from 48, so 83%. There's not a massive difference between the sample sizes over there, so I think it's safe to say Mo'unga outperformed Barrett for the tackling. Barrett's got a bit of an inclination to strip the ball more so than Mo'unga though, as he beats Mo'unga with 3 turnovers compared to Mo'unga's 2. They're just such different players and how they like to strike the ball. Beauden really thrives off a broken field, as you can see over here. Pretty much all of his best tries for the All Blacks have came from the team just breaking down the opposition system and allowing Beauden to run riot. As we can see over here against Ireland, he's got a real habit of kicking the ball with a cross kick under advantage whenever the All Blacks are presented with an advantage inside the opposition 22. And here against Australia as well, we do see that he can pretty much beat defenders at will if it's a one-on-one scenario. We now cut to Mo'unga though. As you can see, he prefers to break things down a lot more. Mo'unga though, out of this habit, has formed far better game management skills, so we're going to go through quite a few clips that show how important Mo'unga's game management can be, and I'm just going to point out the fact that it's so much more superior to Barrett, and hence why the statistic of more passes has gone to Mo'unga's favour. We're going to cut back to 2020, the first game of Ian Foster's reign as the head coach. I was at the game live. It was very depressing, but behind the fact that Beauden Barrett was kicking the goals, we saw that Mo'unga had an absolute masterclass. So as we can see, Daugunu receives the ball after Wilson is tackled by Taylor in a 2-on-1. Mo'unga, however, saw that coming, so was rushed over to the All Blacks' left-hand side of the pitch. He's seen that Daugunu has no inside options, while Daugunu is the average height at 5'9", but he is 91 kgs with a low centre of gravity. Mo'unga knows Daugunu will run the ball straight, so plants his feet flat, leans into the tackle and puts Daugunu into the ground. He then runs straight at Mo'unga only minutes later, but Mo'unga has his number and allows himself to fall over in the tackle while bringing Daugunu to ground. Mackenzie obviously tries to win the turnover but is cleaned out. So as you can see, Mo'unga is not a bad reader of the tackle. We're not going to go through the amazing try-saving tackles that these both players have performed over the years though. As you can see from back in the early 2010s, Beauden was doing some absolutely amazing try-saving stuff. This is a real skill in Beauden Barrett's arsenal. Unfortunately though, when you restart a World Cup cycle after a previous one, nothing really matters, so I won't be touching on the fact that Mo'unga has done things like defend against Cheslin Colby, whereas obviously Beauden Barrett many a time has come from nowhere to save the day. Back to Australia in 2020. Now on attack in the 8th minute, we see Mo'unga is standing at first receiver. He is the one in charge of selecting the ball carrier at almost every phase, and in this particular play, we see an example of this. Mo'unga has been very well utilised by Scott Robertson as the Crusaders as an on-field coach who can always be there to communicate and select the carrier. On this occasion, Mo'unga rightfully selects Goodhue as the runner as he's marked by 2 defenders after looping around from the inside to Mackenzie's outside. Frizzell gives the final pass, and because Mo'unga has selected the right pattern, Beauden Barrett is able to run in unmarked. Those who are either haters or try not to observe the whole team will probably bring up the fact that we did have a draw in this game. Yeah, I know, I was at the live game, it was very painful to see. These people will probably reference this particular try for Daugunu, however we notice that Mackenzie has knocked the ball out of the breakdown and not passed at all. Mo'unga has no support because Tui Nukuafi has lacked the fitness to get back on side. Mo'unga does the right thing and goes in to tackle White, but because Goodhue and Bridge have to come around for Tui Nukuafi, Daugunu is able to score while Bridge chases. Now as we see the All Blacks attempt to make a comeback, let's see how Mo'unga works with Aaron Smith. He's there at every ruck to communicate the next move. Despite being dominated up front, the All Blacks are able to milk a penalty kick which Barrett misses. After Barrett misses, Perenara comes on for Smith and passes far too slowly, while Mo'unga is no longer involved with every single play. Perenara on 2 occasions tries to go himself. The first occasion works out well, but the Wallabies stage a near comeback with Reece Hodge's missed penalty. After Ardie Savia wins the game-saving turnover, Mo'unga overrides the game plan and tells everyone, "Follow me." He screams for Tututu to pass to Clark, and after Clark makes ground, he's there straight away. Savia wins yet another match-saving turnover, and Mo'unga is the first to get the ball out wide. He sees no space wide, so goes himself, and correctly offloads with Lomax running into space. Mo'unga is straight back up, he continues to select carriers, and a minute later he comes up to the ruck where Perenara prepares to pass in the 87th minute. Mo'unga makes it clear at the next ruck that it's time for set for a drop goal. Now in the 88th minute it still hasn't happened. The forwards are losing control up front, but Mo'unga strips the ball off Koroi Betty to revive the match and gets front foot ball. He then goes as far as being a clean out option in the ruck. Mo'unga, as the vision mixer cuts to a wide angle, has gone back into the pocket, yet Perenara passes to a pod again. Mo'unga walks back up to remind Perenara of the drop goal tactic, then heads back to the pocket. Va'i gets a few more meters on debut though, and this inspires Perenara to selfishly run the ball himself, but his pick and go is straight in front of Valentini and Sio, who are both forwards that hold him up, because Perenara has kind of allowed his own ego to take precedent over the tactic. There's no longer a decent passer to give Mo'unga a chance from the pocket, forcing an on debut Satushu to go wide to Leonard Brown, who concedes the turnover. Mo'unga has run back from being in the pocket, realizing that the selfish behaviour of his halves partner has cost the All Blacks the game. So as you can see, Mo'unga's got exceptional game management. What he cannot do though is read the space the way Beauden does. As you can see over here, this offload looks absolutely ridiculous, but Beauden tries it anyway and it goes to Luke Jacobson. Beauden Barrett's very good at knowing what the hell the ball's gonna do. As you can see in his 100th test match against Wales, he was more than happy to get a couple intercepts, and he's always trying to intercept the ball. Barrett's just got so much pace and it can be quite deceptive to his opponents because he is standing at first receiver, so that's why I think the idea of a fullback standing at first receiver can be tried more often. But at the end of the day, as you can see, the more space Beauden has in front of himself, the better it can be. In the second game against Australia of 2020, just look at Beauden running riot. He's always got his hands looking in every direction of the field as well to see who's around him and see who can distribute. This skill set here is just what I want out of a fullback, because guys, you can't just have the single passer in the form of the 10. You gotta have a 12, a 13, and a 15 to help out the 9 and the 10, if you know what I mean. You also see that Beauden's got a bit more of an instinct to go for the kicks. He's pulling off a lot of grubbers throughout 2021 in particular. They worked so brilliantly against Australia in Perth, as you can see. Beauden was really just mastering all these grubber kicks, and it made for very fun highlight reels. This did tend to deceive people that Beauden was a better kicker than Mo'unga, and so a lot of people had come to think that they want him at 10 because they felt he was a better tactical kicker. However though, compare this inclination of Mo'unga to stand at first receiver in a similar opening 10 minutes. The All Blacks opening 10 minutes against Wales saw them have a minority of possession. Whilst they played 7 phases off either a ruck or scrum, Barrett only stood at first receiver off 3 of these phases. And contrast Mo'unga's control over the All Blacks against Wellington in 2020 to how things ended up in the latter stages of 2021. He didn't really get too much of a say in that. As you can see in examples such as these, much of the play was coming off Havili against Ireland from 12, while the All Blacks played 9 phases off either a ruck or scrum in the opening 10 minutes against France. Mo'unga was the first receiver in 5 of these 9 phases, so although I'm just using 2 matches here in examples, Mo'unga does have indeed more of an inclination to be the first receiver and to be the one selecting the carriers who run onto the ball. And when you're after a 10 in World Rugby, I do think you need a far more hands-on 10, as the 10 is part of your spine, and yeah, the spine of number 2, number 8, number 9, number 10, and number 15, the fullback, all have to make quite a lot of serious decisions. So yeah, that's why I do prefer Mo'unga to be at 10, because he's going to be more hands-on compared to Beauden Barrett, who, as you can see over here, loves being back in the pocket to just explore the space and see how many meters he can get for his highlight reel. A lot of people also want to bring up how Mo'unga didn't do too well in the end of year test. Well, to be fair, Beauden's stats against Ireland from 21 minutes weren't exactly the flashiest. Mo'unga, on the other hand, came off the bench and made 15 tackles. That was more tackles in the match than Nepo, Laolala, or Ardie Savia, who were both forwards in the starting 15. Ireland also had 60% possession over the All Blacks that day. Ireland beat us in ruck win percentage, they beat us in lineouts win percentage, and they also conceded fewer penalties than the mighty All Blacks. This happened again in France, who had better tackle accuracy, a better ruck win percentage, and conceded fewer penalties. Very, very familiar statistics we're getting into, because South Africa also beat us in ruck win percentage, line out win percentage, and they had fewer penalties. So actually, no matter who you start at 10, the problems are coming from the tight 5 forwards. So if Beauden's having a bit of a rough time, yeah, it's probably safe to say the forwards aren't doing too well, and the same goes for Mo'unga. So no matter who you start at 10, the main problems in the All Blacks, and I will say this in every video until the squad is named, they are coming from the tight 5 forwards. You gotta understand that, guys. So yes, based on how they interact with the ball from first receiver in comparison to one another, that's why I would go with Richie Mo'unga as my own first 5. I will be the first to call out Mo'unga if he has another bad game, though he didn't have the best start to Super Rugby this year, whereas Beauden's had quite a few pretty good matches at Super Rugby. But guys, that is going to be in my part 2 of this series on who should be at first 5 for the All Blacks. So I want you to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell after you do it, and like the video, comment your thoughts on the video as well, and make sure you don't ever miss another video from myself, Max, the Black Jersey. Once again, a big thank you to my patrons for supporting me financially as well. If you're also keen to do like a one-off donation financially, you can join the Patreon, or you can do a bit of a donation into my PayPal tip jar. The Black Jersey is also present on Instagram and present on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. To recap, I'm picking Mo'unga. Cheers.